Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, June 15th, 2020. Today I'm going to talk about the sports that are on its way to returning, as I'll officially name the segment Sports Road to Returning Post-COVID-19. I'll go over the NASCAR results from the weekend, and we'll go over the KBO results from the weekend as well and look ahead to tomorrow morning's games, and I'll do my 2014 top 10 NFL players and games. All right, Sports Road to Returning. We'll start with Major League Baseball. Jim Bowden just tweeted out that if MLB implements a schedule today or tomorrow, the realistic start date that includes a week to get the spring training camps ready to go and 3 weeks of spring training would be July 14th. If they want to finish regular season September 27th, then a 64 to 67 game schedule is what fits without double headers. So it's better than 48 and it's better than 50. And then John Heyman's hearing it's going to be in the 50s. If Jim Bowden's right, I got to give him a lot of credit because he's been on this for a while. He's really been on the more positive side of things. What I think they should do is go back to the March 26th agreement and make it somewhere in the same realm as what Jim Bowden's saying, maybe a little bit more. But as long as it's not 48, 50 games, because I think a lot of players won't be happy about that. And then the salary thing is another thing. And the thing with the salaries is that they were supposed to get the full salaries with the March 26th plan. That's why I think they should do that. So it's remained to be seen, and there's supposed to be a decision made very shortly. It could either come tonight or tomorrow, and we'll discuss it on the podcast tomorrow unless there is breaking news in the middle of the show, and I'll discuss it today possibly if there's news. Michelle Volpel of ESPNW reported that the WNBA officially announces the plan for 22-game regular season starting in July with standard playoffs ending in October, with all games at the IMG Academy in Florida after players vote to approve the proposal. So this was something I touched on with Jeff Maglicetti when I had him on a few weeks ago, and I said to him that I'm sure you're already buying your tickets, and he did say that he was buying his tickets. So I'm sure he's happy about this. I'm very happy about this too. I really do like the WNBA. I think that's a sport that it's on the rise, and its brand is on the rise, and I really think that this is going to work out for them, and I guess they'll still do their 18 playoffs regardless of conference thing like they've been doing the last couple years. So that is very good news regarding the WNBA. And in the NBA, there's a lot of players that went on a Zoom call that expressed their concerns about restarting the season in Orlando, and they discussed all the Black Lives Matter stuff as well involved in it, and it was more about the COVID than the Black Lives Matter. And a lot of them were saying that they're concerned about the cases rising in the state of Florida. And cases are rising in some states because there's more testing available. And I said this a lot on this show, that a lot of these governors, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, really care about the hospitalization numbers more than the positive test numbers, because obviously if you're in the hospital, then you're supposedly really sick, and a lot of hospital numbers in states are going down. But I do understand some of the concerns, though, and we'll see. And cases in Florida are been kind of trending like a little bit down from where they were last week and the week before. And it's pretty much a war between some of the stars that are on teams that really don't have a chance, like the Brooklyn Nets, with their 2-star players being injured, and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. And then the side of we want to come back, which is like LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis, all the guys that are on contenders that want to come back, that are on teams that they think that have a real chance at winning the title. So ultimately, I do think the league's going to come back. I think LeBron and them and Chris Paul and everyone else that's on the we're coming back side will ultimately come back. They'll do the July 30th thing, as I was mentioning on the show the other day about how the NBA pushed it up a date from the 31st to the 30th for when they are likely to return. Okay, now I'm going to go over the NASCAR race results from the weekend. We'll start with the Sprint Cup. That was the big race from Homestead, Miami. The winner of the race was Denny Hamlin, who I thought had a very good race. And it was a good bounce back after a couple of close calls and a couple of wrecks that cost him in a few races. Chase Elliott, second. Ryan Blaney, third. Tyler Riddick, fourth. Great finish for the rookie. Eric Almirola, fifth. That's very good for him. Kyle Busch, sixth. Austin Dillon, seventh. So you had a couple drivers in there that really get good finishes for them, like Austin Dillon, Almirola, Tyler Reddick. Chris Bell, 8th. That's another one. William Byron, 9th. That's another one. Brad Keselowski, 10th. Clint Bowyer, 11th. Boyer's been racing well lately. Truex, 12th. Bubba Wallace, 13th. Bubba Wallace is racing a lot better. Matt DiBenedetto, 14th. Michael McDowell, 15th. That's very good for Michael McDowell. Jimmy Johnson, 16th. Kurt Busch, 17th. Alec Bowman, 18th. John Hunter Nemechek, 19th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 20th. Eric Jones, 21st. Cole Custer, 22nd. Chris Buescher, 23rd. Ryan Preece, 24th. Matt Kenseth, 25th. Kevin Harvick, a disappointing 26th after a couple great races in a row. Joey Logano, 28th. That's disappointing for him. Ty Dillon, 28th. Corey LaJoie, 29th. Ryan Newman, 30th at one of the tracks that he's normally good at. Daniel Suarez, 31st. Brendan Poole, 32nd. Quinn Houff, 33rd. Timmy Hill, 34th. BJ McLeod, 36th or 35th. Joey Gase, 36th. Josh Bilicki, 37th. JJ Yealy, 38th. And then to the Xfinity results. Harrison Burton was your winner. Austin Cindric, 2nd. Noah Gragson, 3rd. Anthony Alfredo, 4th. Dale Earnhardt Jr., fittingly in the 8th car, in 5th. So, good start in his little post-retirement comeback. This was his 2nd or 3rd race since retiring. And it was all in the Xfinity Series. It'd be cool if he raced in the Sprint Cup. I think that would be a dominant, positive story. So hopefully he gets to do that. Michael Annett, 6th. Chase Briscoe, 7th. Brandon Jones, 8th. Ross Chastain, 9th. Riley Herbst, 10th. J.J. Yealy, 11th. Jeremy Clements, 12th. Justin Haley, 13th. Brandon Brown, 14th. Matt Snyder, 15th. Joe Graff Jr., 16th. Colby Howard, 17th. Jesse Little, 18th. Jeremy Earnhardt, 19th. Josh Williams, 20th. Colin Garrett, 21st. Stephen Parsons, 22nd. Timmy Hill, 23rd. Bailey Curry, 24th. Alex Labb, 25th. BJ McLeod, 26th. Matt Mills, 27th. Ryan Sieg, 28th. Cesar Barcella, 29th. Chad Fincham, 30th. Tommy Joe Martins, 31st. Justin Allgaier, a disappointing 32nd. Kyle Weatherman, 33rd. Vinnie Miller, 34th. Brett Moffitt, 35th. And Stephen Lake, 36th. And Cody Vanderwall, 37th. The truck race. Kyle Busch won. No surprise there. Tyler Ankrum, 2nd. Ross Chastain, 3rd. Chase Elliott, 4th. Johnny Sauter, 5th. Todd Gilliland, 6th. Austin Hill, 7th. Christian Eakes, 8th. Matt Crafton, 9th. Ty Majeski, 10th. Raphael Lester, 11th. Tanner Gray, 12th. Spencer Davis, 13th. Stuart Friesen, 14th. Derek Kraus, 15th. Austin Wayne Self, 16th. Grant Effinger, 17th. Ben Rhodes, 18th. Brendan Poole, 19th. Sheldon Creed, 20th. Corey Roper, 21st. Spencer Boyd, 22nd. Tate Fogelman, 23rd. Angela Rutsch, 24th. Tyler Hill, 25th. Gray Godling, 26th. Jennifer Jo Cobb, 27th. Cody Rarbog, 28th. Ray Cicerelli, 29th. Clay Greenfield, 30th. Jordan Anderson, 31st. Dawson Cramp, 32nd. Corbin Forrester, 33rd. Norm Benning, 34th. TJ Bell, 35th. Brett Moffitt, 36th. Zane Smith, 37th. And Bryant Barnhill, 38th. Okay. So now we'll go over the KBO results from the weekend. And we'll look ahead to the new series that will begin tomorrow. So, without further ado, here we go. So, we'll start with Saturday's results. Samsung over KT 5-3. Kaiwoom over NC 18-5. Hanwha over Doosan 7-6. Kia over SK 2-1. Lotte over LG 7-6. KT over Samsung in Game 2 of the doubleheader 7-4. Yesterday, LG over Lotte 10-6. Samsung over KG 12-0. Hanwha over Doosan 3-2. NC over Kaiwoom 9-5. SK over Kia 4-3. Tomorrow, you got KT and SK, LG and Hanwha, Samsung and Doosan, Lotte, and Kaiwoom and NC and Kia. I'm going to go pick some of these games straight up. I'm going to go with the Dinos. I'm going to go Kaiwoom, Doosan. LG Hanwha is a tough call. I'm going to go with KT over SK, although SK has been playing a little better. LG and Hanwha is a tough call. I'm going to go Hanwha at home. Why not? And in the standings, even though Hanwha is the worst, they are due to win at some point. NC's 26-9, LG's 22-13, they're 4 back. Doosan's 21-13, they're a half game back of LG. Kaiwoom 20-16, they're 2 back of Doosan. Kia's 19-17, they're 1 back of Kaiwoom. Lotte's 18-17, they are a half game back of Kia. Samsung's 17-19, they're a game and a half back of Lotte. KT 13-22, they are 3.5 back of Samsung. SK's 12-23, they are 1 back of KT, and Hanwha's 8-27, they are 4 back of SK. So Hanwha is the worst team right now. I did just pick them to win their game, but like I said, they're due to win at some point, sooner rather than later. Now I'm going to do my 2014 Top 10 NFL players. This was a fun 14-15 season, and then the playoffs were fun that year as well, although somewhat predictable. I have honorable mentions on the list as well. You got Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Donald, Odell Beckham Jr., Cam Newton, and Joe Flacco. Roethlisberger, obviously, the Steelers in the 14 season won their division, although they lost in the wild card round against the Ravens. Donald was the defensive rookie of the year. Beckham Jr., the offensive rookie of the year. Cam Newton, he single-handedly carried the Panthers to the postseason in a weak NFC South that year, and then in the beginning of the calendar year, was the 2 seed in the NFC, although they were 1-and-done, lost to Colin Kaepernick and the Niners. And Joe Flacco, who led the Ravens to a wild card berth. And now my 2014 top 10 NFL players. 10, Julio Jones, Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons were abysmal that year, but Julio Jones was awesome. 9, Peyton Manning, Denver Broncos, helped lead the Broncos to the Super Bowl that year, although they lost, and then they bounced right back the next year and are the 1 seed again, although they did lose to the Colts at their home playoff game. They were 1-and-done that year, so that's why Peyton Manning was not higher on this list, although being a 1 seed. DeMarco Murray's my number 8 player. He helped lead the Cowboys to a surprising NFC East division title that year after many expected that to be Jason Garrett's final year as Cowboys head coach, and then they had to wait 9 more years to fire him. Or, I'm sorry, 5 more years. It feels like 9 more years, though. But yeah, DeMarco Murray, that was his best season ever, and then he turned that into a horrible Eagles contract and you're in Philly. Andrew Luck is number 7 on this list. He helped lead the Colts to a division title in the 2014 season, won a home playoff game against Andy Dalton and the Bengals, and then they wound up winning in Denver, upsetting Manning and the Broncos, but that was in 2015. But in 2014, helped lead the Colts to a division title. And in that calendar year, in the 13-14 playoffs, led the comeback 38-10 down against the Chiefs, which we'll get into, spoiler, in the next segment. 6, Richard Sherman, Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, making the game-clinching interception, spoiler, we'll talk about this game as well, and was obviously the best, arguably the very best player on those Seattle Seahawks teams that went to back-to-back Super Bowls. 5, Tony Romo, Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, we talked about that surprising Cowboys season, but Tony Romo, I felt, was always underappreciated in the league a little bit because he was the Cowboys quarterback. But he's somebody that also came up short in a lot of big games as well. But this season he deserved a lot of credit for silencing some doubters and leading the Cowboys to a division title. So that's what got him a spot on the top players of 2014 list. 4, Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks. Back-to-back Super Bowls. Need I say more? Helped lead the Seahawks to their first Super Bowl win, first Super Bowl appearance and the win, and then helped lead the Seahawks to, I believe they were the 1 seed in the 14 season. 3, Tom Brady, New England Patriots. So the Patriots were the 2 seed, helped leading a roster that was really good. They wound up winning the Super Bowl, although they came up short in the AFC title game against Denver the previous season's postseason, which was also in 2014. That's why Brady wasn't in the top 2. Number 2, J.J. Watt, Houston Texans. He was just so dominant that season that he's earned a spot on this list. They didn't make the playoffs that year, but he almost single-handedly got a bad Texans team to the postseason. Very close, but no cigar. But J.J. Watt has obviously earned my respect to be on this list. And number 1, Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers. This was the second MVP season for Rodgers, which famously followed, or what preceded that was RELAX, relax. After a disastrous loss against, I want to say it was the Lions on Thursday Night Football, and the media made a fuss of Rodgers' comment, and the media was panicking. The ESPN people were panicking. Oh, the Packers aren't good. Fire McCarthy, yada yada. But no, they turned it around that season, and they wound up winning their division and getting a bye in the first round. And then that playoffs was obviously the Seattle comeback and whatnot. And in 2014, in the 13-14 playoffs, which was obviously in the calendar year 2014, Packers won the division. And you remember that division was down mainly because Rodgers was injured. But Rodgers was back, and he looked like the Aaron Rodgers that we all know of being the elite quarterback that was once the best quarterback in the game. Almost beat that talented 49ers team with Jim Harbaugh, but close but no cigar. David Akers kicks the game-winning field goal. We'll get into that game in the next segment, which I'm going to start right now, which is the 2014 top 10 games. No honorable mentions. We'll just go straight through. Number 10, Cowboys Seahawks. This was week 6 of the 2014 season. Dallas goes into Seattle and upsets the Seahawks after experts said they had no chance. And then I'll never forget, Stephen A. Smith on First Take had to wear a Tony Romo jersey because he lost the bet with Skip Bayless, who is obviously a delusional Cowboys fan, but Skip Bayless was somehow correct. Number 9, Colts Texans in that same week, that week 6. Colts win a 33-28 thriller as they won the game en route to a division title to hold off J.J. Watt and the Texans. 8, Cowboys Giants week 12, 31-28 Cowboys shootout win. This game will always be remembered, though, as the Odell Beckham Jr. catch game. And obviously, the Cowboys won that game. And I kind of feel for them that victory by them was overshadowed by a catch from the team that lost the game. But it was a great game that the Cowboys wound up coming away with en route to their division title. In a game the Cowboys had to have, too. Because had they lost that game to the Giants, it would have been that lazy Tony Romo can't win a big primetime game narrative that, unfortunately, is a theme with Kirk Cousins right now. But I think that Tony Romo is a better quarterback than what Kirk Cousins is right now. But it's close. I think Kirk Cousins is a little underrated, but I think Romo is better in his prime than Kirk Cousins is right now. But that's another story for another day. 7th, Patriots-Packers, Week 13. Brady versus Rodgers. Rodgers and the Packers come away with a 26-21 victory. 6th, Dolphins-Packers, Week 6. That same week as those first two games I mentioned on this list. Packers sneak away with a 27-24 win over a subpar Miami Dolphins team. I believe the player at the game-winning catching touchdown was Richard Rodgers, if I'm not mistaken, with 3 seconds left on the clock. 5, Broncos-Seahawks Super Bowl rematch, Week 3. Seahawks come away with the 26-20 overtime win over the Broncos in the Super Bowl rematch, in a game that was a lot better than the Super Bowl was. Obviously, the 48-3 beatdown. 4, Saints-Eagles. This was in the playoffs in that previous year, which was the calendar year 2014, really the 2013 season. It was the NFC wildcard game where the Saints came away with the 26-24 victory as their kicker at the time kicked the game-winning field goal to advance on to the next round against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. 3, 49ers-Packers, the very next day, January 5th, NFC wildcard game. Same ending, except a different kicker kicking the game-winning field goal for Jim Harbaugh and the Niners. David Akers ending Aaron Rodgers and the Packers season. Number 2, Chiefs-Colts, January 4th, AFC wildcard game. I mentioned this game earlier in the last segment talking about Andrew Luck. 38-10 was the Chiefs' lead. And then Andrew Luck led the comeback, and that really was truly his coming out party from a postseason perspective. And he really turned a lot of people's heads in that game. And then the Colts wound up losing the next weekend to the Patriots. And number 1, 49ers-Seahawks. January 19th, NFC title game. 23-17, Seahawks win. The immaculate tip, as some people like to call it. Richard Sherman with the game-sealing interception of Colin Kaepernick as Kaepernick was trying to aim Michael Crabtree in the end zone. And then, obviously, Sherman with the famous quote to Fox's Aaron Andrews, "I'm the best corner in the game." And obviously he kept on rambling after that, talking smack about Crabtree. And that was the peak of that rivalry of the Niners and the Seahawks. Obviously, the two ex-college coaches in Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh, one from Stanford, one from USC, which really sparked up the rivalry. And then Sherman played under Harbaugh at Stanford, which really brought some juice there as well. And then that rivalry lost its luster for a little while, and then now it's back with Jimmy Garoppolo and a new regime in San Francisco, although Carroll and Russell Wilson are still a part of that Seattle team, and obviously the Legion of Boom is no longer with the Seahawks either. Okay, so that's it for today. I know it was a short show. I just didn't have much to do today on the show. Tomorrow we'll do more talk about the return of sports coming back post-COVID. We'll talk about the KBO, go over the games, and look ahead to Wednesday morning's games. We'll do my top 10 MLB players and games as well. And any other sports-related news I'll have for you on the podcast. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.